and welcome to CEC Gurukul lectures. I'm Mehak Chawla, Bharatanatyam dancer, art educator and disciple of Guru Srimati Geeta Chandranji. We are going to begin by studying the branches of art and we'll begin with the decorative art and its symbolism. So the symbolism in decorative art is central to Indian decorative motif. The lotus stands for purity and divine creation. Elephant symbolizes strength and wisdom. Peacock, it represents beauty and pride. Conch and chakra stand for cosmic energy and order. The tree of life recurs as a universal symbol of fertility and interconnectedness. Geometric designs such as circles, triangles, swastik, and mandalas express spiritual concepts of wholeness and infinity. Decoration in India is never random. It is cosmically coded, whether carved on a temple or painted on a clay pot. Every motif connects the microcosm of human life with the macrocosm of the universe. Now, let's study about the modern and contemporary expressions of decorative art. In the 20th century, with the rise of design, education and global exchange, Indian decorative arts entered a new phase. The challenge was to preserve traditional aesthetics while adapting them to modern materials and contexts. Post-independence, government institutions such as the Handicraft Board, Weavers Service Centers and National Institute of Design worked to revive dying crafts. Designers like Pupil Jayakar, Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay and Dashrath Patel integrated craft traditions with modern design. The goal was to sustain the artisan's skill while making it relevant to contemporary life. Today, in Indian decorative art, it finds expression in diverse forms, from handcraft textiles and jewelry to interior designs, architecture, and sustainable crafts. Modern architects like Charles Cornea and Laurie Baker use traditional decorative principles such as pattern, ventilation, texture in contemporary buildings. Designers reinterpret old motifs digitally. Ceramic and glass artists explore traditional symbols in new materials. At the same time, craft people in villages continue their inherited decorative practices, now connected to global markets through fair trade and exhibition. The Indian decorative tradition has thus entered the global design vocabulary, maintaining its roots while evolving with time. It is important to return to the philosophical foundation of India's decorative art. In Indian thought, art is not separate from life. It is an expression of rasa, bhava, and ruta, the cosmic order. Decoration, therefore, is not mere embellishment. It is a means of aligning human creativity with universal harmony. The Shilpa Shastra, ancient Indian text on art and architecture, emphasize that beauty arises when form, proportion and symbolism reflect the divine order. Every motif, color, and design element is part of this sacred geometry. The repetition of patterns is not mechanical but meditative, a rhythmic echo of the cycle of nature. A rangoli drawn each morning is a ritual of renewal. A carved lotus on a temple door is a reminder of purity. An embroidered sari carries the blessings of fertility and prosperity. In this way, decorative art in India transcends aesthetic pleasure. It becomes a spiritual discipline, a way of seeing beauty in every act of creation. The artisan is not just a craftsman but a sadhak, a practitioner of devotion through skill. To conclude, the decorative arts of India represent a living continuum of beauty, belief, and craftsmanship that has evolved over 5,000 years. From the pottery of the Mohenjo-daro to the Pietra Dura of the Taj Mahal, from the Rangoli on a village floor to the textile art of contemporary designers, India's decorative spirit remains unbroken. It tells us that art in India is not confined to museums or galleries. It breathes in our homes, festivals, attire, and rituals. It is democratic, devotional, and deeply human. The decorative arts of India remind us that beauty is not an addition to life, it is a reflection of life itself. Through color, texture, and form, Indian decoration transforms the ordinary into the sacred, the useful into the graceful, and the material into the spiritual. As you study and experience these arts, remember that each carved line, each painted motif, each woven pattern carries not just artistic skill but centuries of cultural memory and spiritual intention. That is what makes the decorative arts of India timeless, a mirror of the nation's soul and its undying quest to live beautifully, meaningfully, and harmoniously. Now, we move on to the another branch of art which we will study is literary art. Literary art is one of the most profound and enduring forms of human creativity. It involves the artistic use of language, the most powerful medium of expression, to reflect, interpret, and shape human experience. Unlike ordinary communication, literary art transforms language into a medium of beauty and meaning into vehicle of emotion, thought, and imagination, giving voice to ideas that define cultures and civilizations. It combines the intellectual and emotional dimensions of human experience through creative expression. The term literature is derived from the Latin word litera, meaning letters, the building blocks of written and spoken words. Yet, literature goes beyond letters and words. It is a living organism of imagination and intellect, embodying cultural values, human conflict, and philosophical insights. At its core, literature is the artistic mastery of the world through language. It explores the depth of human emotions, the complexities of society, the beauty of nature, and the mystery of existence. Through poetry, prose, drama, fiction, and non-fiction, literary artists express their understanding of life and evoke responses that resonate across generations. Now let's study about the nature of literary art. To begin with, artistic mastery of language. Literary art is distinguished from ordinary writing by its aesthetic and imaginative use of language. A literary work does not merely inform, it evokes, suggests, and creates experiences. It uses rhythm, imagery, symbolism, and style to achieve emotional and intellectual impact. Now, the power of the word. Words in literature are not passive. They carry connotations, rhythm, and energy. As the painter uses colors to shape visual art, the writer uses words to build emotional landscapes. The internal power of the word determines the depth and resonance of the work. Proceeding to image and the beauty. If we speak of this nature of the literary art, it thrives on the creation of imagery, the sensory experience of language that enables readers to visualize, feel, and empathize. The beauty of literature lies in its ability to transform ordinary perception into a heightened awareness of life and truth. Now, let's study about the scope and forms of literature. It is vast and ever expanding. It encompasses myths, epics, folk tales, essays, novels, plays, and modern digital writings. Each era adds new dimension to literary art, reflecting the evoking values, beliefs, and struggles of humankind. From oral tradition to written manuscripts and contemporary digital storytelling, literature continues to adapt while preserving its essence, the expression of truth and beauty through words. Importantly, literature serves as the foundation for both performing arts and other art forms such as dance, music, and theatre that derive much of their narrative and emotional content from literary sources. A classical dance performance often interprets poetic verses. A musical composition may be inspired by literary themes. A theatrical production depends on a written script to bring characters and dialogues to life. Thus, literature provides both the direction and depth for other art forms to communicate effectively with audience. The scope of literature is infinite and constantly expanding. Its major forms include poetry, the earliest and most intense form of literary art. Poetry uses rhythm and metaphor to express emotions, meter, spirituality, and universal truth. For example, the Rig Veda hymns, Kalidas Meghdut, Shakespeare's sonnets, and Tagore's Gitanjali. And the other form is prose, which encompasses novels, short stories, essays, and biographies. Prose is characterized by its narrative and discursive qualities, focusing on human experiences and social realities. It is the most flexible form of literary art. For example, Premchand's stories, Virginia Woolf's essays, R.K. Narayan novels. All these are the examples of prose. If I speak of drama, in theatrical literature that combines language, performance, and emotions, it relies heavily on dialogue and action. For example, Sanskrit dramas of Kalidas such as Meghadoot, Shakespeare tragedies and modern Indian plays by Girish Karnath. Now, the oral and folk literature, which is rooted in storytelling, myth, and songs. These are the foundation of cultural memory and identity. Indian folk epics like Babuji Ki Phad or Akhyan traditions are example of literary art preserved through performance. Now, the modern and digital literature. Literature today extends to film, script, blogs, graphic novels, and digital storytelling, showing how literary creativity evolves with technology while preserving its expressive essence. Now, let's study about its function. In literature, the word of the artist is brush and palette. Just as a painter uses colors and strokes to create visual imagery, writer uses words, rhythm, and tone to paint pictures in the reader's mind. Each carefully chosen word contributes to the imagery, symbolism, and emotional impact of the piece. The internal power of literature lies in its ability to make readers see, feel, and imagine through the force of language alone. Imagery and beauty are eternal aspects of literary arts. Literary works strive not merely to inform but to enchant, to transform thoughts into experiences and ideas into emotions. The beauty of literature lies in the fusion of form and content, where meaning and expression blend harmoniously to reveal truth in an aesthetic way. Literary art serves multiple roles: personal, social, and cultural. If we discuss about the expressive function, literature provides an outlet for individual creativity and emotion. It is a mirror of the human soul, expressing joy, pain, love, fear, and hope. And if I speak of the communicative function, it bridges the gap between individual and societies through shared meanings and stories. It fosters empathy, understanding, and social cohesion. If I speak of the cultural function, literature preserves and transmits the values, beliefs, and traditions of a community. Epics like Mahabharata, Ramayana are both religious and cultural texts that shape moral imagination. If we study about the educational function, literature refines thought, language, and moral judgment. It develops critical thinking and aesthetic appreciation. And if we study about the reflective and reformative function, then many literary work act as a mirror of society, critiquing injustice and inspiring change. Writers like Dickens, Premchand, and Arundhati Roy used literature as a tool for social awareness. Proceeding on to study about the relationship of literature with other art forms. Literature holds a deep and dynamic relationship with other art forms such as dance, music, theatre, painting, and cinema. It often serves as the foundation and inspiration for these arts, providing themes, stories, emotions, and symbols that artists interpret through different mediums. In classical dance and music, for instance, poetic verses and lyrical compositions form the basis of performance, allowing rhythm and movement to express the emotion embedded in words. Theatre is directly rooted in literary art, as plays and scripts form its structural and narrative core. Similarly, visual art like painting and sculpture frequently draw from literary sources such as epics, myths, and poems to depict human experiences. In the modern era, cinema continues this interdependence by adapting novels, drama, and stories into visual narratives. Thus, literature acts as the creative source and intellectual backbone for other arts, uniting them through shared imagination, expression, and aesthetic purpose. With this, I conclude my lecture. Thank you.